Welcome, everyone, to episode 108 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Joshua Penteleresco. I write stuff in podcast too, and I'm going to try to do this in under 90 seconds because I am fried. It has been a busy day. Another short story got submitted to an anthology. I don't know if it's good, but we'll find out. It's one of those things. I was like, can I come up with a story in 5 days? And I did. I told a whole story in 2,500 words. It was really fun. I think I did a good job. Could be wrong. Totally off base. But hey, I threw it out there. I have 2 submissions out there this year for anthologies. I got one more in mind before the fall, and I also got 2 books I'm editing in various forms. That's going to be my next couple weeks. So yeah, I've been pretty busy. So I'm not going to do a commercial today because I am just so fried. So I'll tell you what you can do at the end of the episode to support the podcast, but let's get right into it. Here's Katie.
I won't for myself.
Oh, but it's more fun when you do.
Only we change to protect the innocent.
Okay, so instead of Jordan, it'd be like JoJo or something like that, right?
There you go. You got it.
I got it. Okay, cool. Not that there's any. What?
I said, how you been, buddy?
It's been an interesting time.
Yeah.
Well, I made a decision. I'm going to get my teeth fixed. But when I made the decision, I was really surprised at all this. A lot of negative emotions came up. Like, a lot of them. I was really shocked. And after going kind of through it, I understood why. I lost my teeth because I went through a really hard period in my life, and I was starving. Well, not like starving, like as in I was like starving to death exactly, but my meals weren't exactly regular at that point in time, and I had to do a lot of hard stuff just to survive. That whole year was a very big that was a big gradual breakdown of things and just a big struggle, and so my teeth were the price I paid for that. It was a good lesson, but in making this decision, I kind of revisited some of those feelings I was going through at that point in time, and I was surprised they were there as strongly as they were, and just a lot of other things came to the surface too. I just didn't realize how much I've let these teeth stay like they have been for a while, and I realized how I saw myself with the teeth. I didn't realize how intertwined they were. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hear ya.
Yeah. So what's gonna happen is, my insurance for my day job is not very good, but it is enough to get started in Canada. And what I'll probably end up doing is I'll go to Mexico to finish it off and take care of it probably by the end of October. Hopefully by the end of October. It's kind of the plan. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Quick.
I don't want this to be a long deal. Like if I did it in Canada or I did it in the States, it would take like 10 years. But,
Ugh.
well, you know how much it costs to fix teeth, right?
Right. Now, as far as insurance goes, that's like such a hot button issue right now. Like, how much of that is considered elective? And I'm assuming if it's elective, then insurance doesn't cover it.
Well, it's the thing. Like in my particular case, I think it's really hard to argue elective. Like, kind of hard too. If I go for the full, like I said, I'll use what my insurance can do in Canada. I will do. Beyond that, I'm going to go across the board. I'm going to go to Mexico to do it because even with insurance, it's still cheaper to go to Mexico and get the job done than it is to do with the insurance, which is fucked up to begin with, right? So
Insurance is such a bullshit issue.
well, it's just. Well, it's just because technically speaking, it's not a health thing. But I mean, hell, go stateside right now. I mean, they're trying to cut health left, right, and center down there right now.
Yeah, I just got hit with a bill I wasn't expecting. My youngest daughter, she's practically blind. You know, it's a hereditary thing. It runs through all the females in my family. My mom had eye issues. I've had eye issues. My old eye issues, and now my youngest does. and she has to go see a specialist because she's so young, and the specialist goes towards the medical insurance, not the vision insurance. And I just got hit with the bill. Basically, none of my deductible has been paid for her, so they are not covering any of the services that have been done so far for her.
That's fucked up.
So I got a $475 bill the last time I walked through the doors. Had to cancel her appointment because I didn't have $475 right on the spot.
So listen, when this podcast is over, I'll talk to you about some things that you might be able to do for yourself that may help. No promises, but you know what I mean, shit. That's just bullshit.
But it is bullshit because you think about it. You know, they're arguing over what to do with the insurance situation. My husband, his company pays for the insurance, right? We pay our premiums to the company. They pull out $100 a week. On top of that, we now have, and it used to be $300, it's now been bumped up to $500 deductible before insurance even kicks in. So $100 a week plus $500 per person before insurance even covers 80%.
Which is retarded.
So I all this money and can't even afford to use the healthcare.
Yeah, well. See, I was told a long time ago that insurance is like the greatest con in the world because it's the only thing you can actually pay for that actually goes up when you actually use it. Which I thought about that, and it's like as an idea, insurance is a good idea. Like, look, if in a perfect world, we would all have the ability to, at least make choices in our lives to take care of ourselves. The reality is, though, today especially, the cost of everything being what it is, no one can afford this stuff.
Partially, the company's to blame because everything is for profit. Health insurance and healthcare should never ever be for profit.
I agree. Actually, that and there's one other venue I actually think shouldn't be for profit either, and that's education.
Absolutely.
But I mean, so here's the thing, right? So my dad's into the alternative medicines, and one of the things we've come to the conclusion over the years is like, since medicine is a business, what is their business? I mean, and then this is really like this depresses some people when you think about this, because it's like, for the medical industry to make money, people have to be sick. So is it in their best interest to help people? And no, it's not.
Look at Germany, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Just as an example, they have socialized healthcare, government controlled. They keep costs down. Medical suppliers, medical companies, medical insurance providers cannot be for profit, and the government regulates more strictly what can be put into products consumed by people, because they know that Coke, for example, is not healthy.
Absolutely.
So they're going to limit, the size of the cups, the amount of sodas that can be sold per package, where they can be sold. They're going to limit and put lots of restrictions on things known to be unhealthy, or remove items completely out of the ingredients list in foods, because they know it's going to drive costs of healthcare up, because it's going to make their people sicker.
Yep. But like I said, it's not, but even that's not a perfect solution either, because what tends to happen there is, if you can get something...
There is no 100% perfect solution.
Oh, no. I'm just saying, and that's the downside to that is, some of these big companies, what they'll do is they'll try to get, they may not be able to get everything in, but they try to get certain key things in. And we live in a very interesting time where country and in some cases companies have as much sway as a lot of countries do, which is absurd if you really sit there and think about that. But that is the world we live in.
Did you see John Oliver's special on it was a while ago on Philip Morris, and how they sued the government of Australia at one point?
Oh yeah,
over branding.
Oh, it wasn't shocked me. I mean, heck, the United Nations tried to go after Monsanto once upon a time. They lost.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, so we live that's the world we live in today. So I've always I have a really, in my very more depressing moments, my theory about the United States is I somehow feel that somewhere a long time ago, somebody became really pissed off with the people of the United States. So what they decided to do to punish the people of the United States is they would turn them into a living, breathing experiment. And sometimes I go places and I can down there and I can literally tell when your government or the companies down there really give a fuck or whether they don't. And it is so obvious that it's like, wow. Like, it boggles my mind. That's the biggest thing I see about the United States in particular. Canada's not perfect in that either. I mean, we definitely have points where, money talks and everybody else walks. I mean, that's just the way it is. But that's our world. I don't know if there's at this point, I don't know what to do to fix it. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a depressing start to this conversation. Sorry.
Yeah, what a great topic for this week, right?
Well, I don't pick the topics. This one for me, doing something positive, like improving the quality of my life by fixing my teeth. We went down the deep dark hole of how the medical industry and the insurance industries are evil. Yeah, I mean,
it's the truth, though. I mean,
sure.
If the medical industries were more about health care versus health profit, we would see differences in how people are treated.
Well, there's that. I also offer this question: when was the last time medicine actually cured something? You have to go back to polio. I mean, that's how long it's been. So that tells you something right there too. And it's one of those things where, like I said, we live in a world where we are in the business of, and this is the sad truth, of exploiting people for money. That is the biggest money makers on the planet, and that is truly one of the most depressing truths of the world. That doesn't mean there's a lot of great things, though. I mean, there's a lot of amazing things you see in spite of all that stuff. And that keeps me hopeful. But yeah, I mean, but a lot of people don't realize going into this, like, what you're really up against. And it's a doozy,
It's definitely an uphill battle, no matter where you are.
Yeah. That's the way it goes. So, I mean, like I said, I'm doing it. Like, both my grandparents are going to me, are you sure you want to go abroad? Like, my one's dead against it. I'm like, well, what am I going to do? The alternative is to have this taken care of over a long period of time, and by the time everything's taken care of, I'm gonna have to go back and take care of the first stuff. I don't want to be in that cycle. I just want to get it over with and do what needs to be done. And even if it takes a couple trips or one trip or two trips, something like that, and on top of this one, sooner than later. Like, I got 2 books that are coming out this year before the year's out. So, I mean, I want.
Yeah. I was going to ask you how was it? I know you let me beta read that one chapter. How's it going with that?
I have wingding dialogue in that story.
Good Lord.
It works. Listen, between you and me, let me ask you something. How else would a unicorn be able to talk out of its ass? And yes, folks, a unicorn really does talk out of its ass in my story. I'm actually kind of proud of that.
That is the epitome of creativity right there.
That's right.
Parting out wisdom from unicorns.
That's right, with wingding dialogue.
I love it.
Yeah, I know. I actually see the original plan was to use emojis because I thought emojis would be perfect, but
emojis are overdone though.
Well, no, actually, see, I came up with something better. Like, wingdings make sense for the unicorn. So when I do book 3, emojis will appear, but it will be in a way that actually makes sense. Like, it's a progression. And I know that might oddly frighten you a little bit more, but it's something I'm quietly building towards with the whole series in general. So I just got my first beta read back, so I got that to work on this week. I also I'm hoping to get back. One of the things the biggest thing I learned with this particular project, finding just reliable people's hard. Mm-hmm. It really, really is. Because this has been my theme this year, in general with people. A lot of people say one thing, but very few of them, finding people that actually do what they say they're going to do is truly a rare thing, and I didn't realize how rare a thing that was until this year. And it's like, wow. I mean, but and then I read something not too long ago about being intimidating. And that's really the number one most intimidating thing you can do to somebody. You say something and you actually do it. So
follow through.
Yeah, follow through is apparently a rare thing, and I found in this.
You almost have to be on top of people to get them to follow through these days. And it may not be because they're slacking on purpose. It seems like everybody's overloaded.
That's part of it. No, that's definitely part of it. Like, no, like we, like as a culture, like time is a premium. Like it really is a premium. You know, and that's a big part of it. Like, people are working 2-3 jobs just to make ends meet, which is just fucked. I mean, no matter how you look at that, it's just fucked. Again, there's that, but there's also just the simple fact of the matter is, I mean, a lot of people don't. That drive to do is just not there in some people too. And you just got to realize that too. And the thing is, this goes back to time. Do I have time to drag people with me? No. I don't want to resent anyone behind me, and I don't want them to resent me. So if it doesn't work out, I mean, it's just best to let people go and move on, because you just don't have time. And that's a weird thing. It's just like, wow, you don't have the time to do the stuff you think you're gonna do. So
right. Cut and run in a way, but never burn your bridges.
Oh no, I've learned that lesson the hard way.
Yeah, because in this industry, it's such a small playing field. We all run into each other over and over and over again.
I know. It's an interesting thing because a friend of mine is going through something I went through a few years back with a friend. I mean, they were doing business together and it fell apart. And she's like, have you ever been in a position where you wanted to say something and you couldn't? And I told her, yeah, I've been through it. So we ended up talking for about an hour. Told her my story, she told me hers. And I just gave her the best advice I could. I said, look, you can't... there is a way to be honest about somebody without actually burying yourself. And you need to, I mean, you don't necessarily advertise it. And I think that's a weird thing about our industry in particular. People that are really great to work with we can talk about them, no problem. People that aren't so great to work with, that takes a little bit more work. And it's also a hard thing too, because sometimes it's just a personal experience, you know? Some people just don't work well together. Other people work fantastic together, you know what I mean? And just, it's... But I will say this, when you meet professional people, it's awesome. It is so awesome.
Right? No, I totally get that.
Yeah. It's like, not only do they do what they say they're going to do, but they do it better than you originally envisioned. And this is great, and I have tears in my eyes, and can I please work with you again? No? You got other things to do? I understand. I'm going to go cry now.
That's how I feel about my editor.
Yeah.
I've been working with her for so many years, and we know each other's style well enough. And just last night, or not last night, or she messaged me on Facebook, and she's like, we need to talk about the story that she's editing right now, the one that's it's going to release August 1st.
Awesome.
And she looked at me and she said, this is the weirdest plot I've ever seen from you. Let's see how we can fix it. And she, ran me through the ringer and pointed out all the areas that needed fixed, and I absolutely loved that about her. No holds barred. I mean, she wasn't rude about it by any means.
Oh, no.
She wasn't going to hold back. She wants that book to be just as good as it can be. And, it's her job as the editor to make sure I see that. See, for me, my favorite person to work with has been Florence Chan for The Watcher, Storm Dancer, and coming up with The Wandering Gone, which is the other book coming out towards the end of the year. She's been great on a lot of levels. First off, she does exactly what she said she's going to do, which, again, I cannot express enough how happy that makes me. But she's also great in the sense that she'll ask questions about the world and stuff like that. And if I ever do an offshoot of this world, now that this series is just about done, I know exactly what project to bring back for her, because I got a grin out of her. Right? It's like, yeah, you'd do that. You would do that for fun. It wouldn't be a big project if I ever did going back into it, but it would be a fun one.
introduce another sentient species in the final book. It's a very brief part of the book, but it's one of the things that shows that life goes on no matter what happens, which I think is a very, again, it's an optimistic thing, I think, in the long run, just because no matter what, life goes on, and that's a great thing. But I'm like, what would be great if I ever came back to this world, I did a legend-style story about this people, how they came to be, because that would be awesome. And I actually got her to smile about that, because when I'm done this story, there's nothing for me to tell with this story anymore, but I can talk about some of the parts of the world that I left, some of the mysteries I deliberately left there, just because. So,
I love that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm doing right now with my series. The book that's coming out in August, it actually ties two series together. It closes out all of their plot lines in one book. And it gives you that sense of what's happening to the other characters that you might have heard about in previous books and wanted to know more about. So it kind of gives everybody closure.
So I mean that's so you've created one of those Uber universes like Stephen King has with the Dark Tower.
Kind of.
Yeah. You have a universe, not just a world, a universe now. So,
I just need to expand it and make it a multiverse. That's the trend now, right?
Well, it can be. I'm doing a two-world concept with the Cloud Diver, but I'm keeping it simple, ish. I mean, granted, I am doing stuff like unicorns talking out of their butts, so I don't know how simple I'm actually keeping it, but
that just makes me laugh every time I hear it.
It's the truth.
Talk about talking out of your ass.
Legitimately, right? So, actually, the last...
We need more fun stuff to read, especially with the way that the world is going right now.
Well, it's not even that. I mean, why not? I mean, this is something I like. This is just who I am as a creator. I have fun with everything I do, but why can't you have fun and tell a deep story at the same time?
Oh, you can, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, but it's not done very often, right? And I've noticed, I love. I've said this on a couple other podcasts. I love Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss had this ability to talk about serious things in a very fun context. So it was a deep book, much deeper than a lot of people would give it credit for upon first glance. But when you actually read it, it's actually it's an adult story too. Sometimes it's just like him being silly. Like the tongue twister one I did with... when Vanessa mastered my 100th episode, she actually made me read this Dr. Seuss thing out loud. It played like a song in a book, which is cool. It's a cool artistic exercise. But every once in a while, he deals with like incredibly serious stuff in a children's book. And then I look at people like Terry Pratchett does the same thing. Christopher Moore does the same thing. And I think that's the kind of thing that I think is missing in a lot of literature. Is we all observe silly, absurd shit every day. Every day we just see it, and you're thinking, how did that person live? You know what I mean? How did that person tie his shoes this morning? And but we see this every day, so you might as well have fun.
No, you make a very good point.
Yeah. I'm just saying. I mean, now comedy isn't everybody's thing. I mean, and I get that too. And I'm not saying I'm necessarily a good comedic writer. I'm not going to say that because this is my first novel. It might just suck. I don't know. but I'm
getting good feedback from your betas.
Well, I made one.
Like your first line of defense. The betas are telling you that you're on the right track. You can be pretty comfortable in the fact that you're going to do well.
Mm-hmm. Well, so far I've heard from one beta before he's one of those people that just had to bail. He had spaghetti come out of his nose with one particular scene. I just thought, okay, I did something right there. Nothing to do with the unicorn. Actually, just there's another scene, and it that whole conversation. He literally put it in the notes. This made spaghetti come out of my nose. I'm like, okay, this was good. So I know that, but I know one particular beta reader doesn't like the story at all, which is interesting. So it's like I said, I'm curious what my sister's one of the beta readers. I haven't heard from her yet. I'm curious what she thinks. The guy that's doing the covers, he loves this book. So I definitely got people that like it. I don't know if I'm gonna have people that love it, but like I said, it's one of those things where you got at some point, like I said, you got to do things that kind of you got to take chances. And creatively as well. You got to go out there. You got to put the best book you know how to put out there, and do your thing, whatever that is.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you this: are you self-publishing it, or are you going after the traditional marketplace?
I'm gonna probably self-publish this one. I think, for me, it's a combination of a couple things. Do I think this is good enough to get a traditional publisher's attention? Yes, I actually think it does. I think it would. But I think the thing is, as just a writer today, you need something that isn't in the traditional realm anymore. You need a series or a thing where you can constantly work on it. Because, okay, say that I got this in traditionally, hypothetically. So the first book wouldn't come out to about 2019-ish, give or take. So I have to do something. I have to do some other kind of between now and then. I'd have to do something else. Okay, I could come up with something. I have plenty of ideas in my head, but I'm like, but this the beautiful thing about this particular series is I do have the book ends in mind, but I can go anywhere I want with this. So this feels like in that sense, it feels very indie-centric. Like the next story is a treasure hunt style story, which is cool. Then the story after that is more like it's a legal drama with like lots of crazy ass action. Then the fourth one is something else completely different, and I can do that in this world because it makes sense, right? So I feel like this is a good indie thing, and also this is where I can make all my mistakes, right? If I make a shit ton of mistakes here, that's fine. When I go bring something that's more traditionally sound to a traditional publisher, and I got a few of those ideas in my head too, then I can actually put like little connections to this world. I think that's a neat little trick to do too. You can do that in a way that doesn't interfere with either universe, right? But I think just as a common sense approach for writing today, I think every writer needs their own series that they're doing, that they can do all the time, and not have to worry about a traditional publishing schedule. That doesn't mean I've said this in past podcasts. I think every writer worth his salt has to try to get into the traditional route at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I agree with that. That actually was going to be the point I was going to bring up.
Yeah.
That after a while of going indie, and especially after going to Phoenix Comic-Con and being able to sit on panels and talk with other traditionally published authors, I really want to take my next story, not this one that's coming out in August, obviously, but my next story, my next series, and try and aim for that traditional marketplace so that I can straddle both sides.
Well, it makes the most sense because there's still money in it. And as long as there's still money in the traditional market, you should at some point try to pursue it. But you're in a nice position too because you have leverage. Right? That's the other thing about having your own little niche and following. If a traditional publisher pays you less money than what you make doing your own stuff, why go with that traditional publisher? Right? Doesn't make any sense for you. Right?
There's some truth to that. The whole advance versus earning out versus royalties is always a tricky situation. There's more to it, though, than just the monetary value. Yes, obviously I want to make money from it, but there's also a little bit of that respect, that clout that comes with the traditional side that just adds to your legitimacy.
It can. I just this is just where like this again. This is strictly just me on a business level. I'd have to like for me. Don't get me wrong. If tomorrow Simon and Schuster came up to me and say, "Hey, we want to publish this," I'd definitely be paying attention. Like I definitely would be listening to this, to what they'd have to say. It's Simon and Schuster. But on the same token, I look at what they can reach versus what I can reach. Simon and Schuster can go places that I can't, and as a result, it makes sense to do some kind of business. I'm using them as an example. It could be Disney Hyperion, it could be Penguin, it could be Tor Books.
Right.
It
doesn't the Big Five or their subsidiaries.
Yeah. Anything like along those lines, right? There are definitely advantages. However, like one thing that I do look at too, and this is something that it has to be kept in mind, right? Is because they have. At this point, if you have gotten yourself to the point where you're really well established, then there'd have to be something that they were offering that you couldn't do yourself. You know what I mean? Like there definitely has to be, and you're right. It doesn't necessarily have to be a monetarily deal, at least in the short term. But there's got to be something that you can do, like they can do for you that you can't do for them, because it makes sense. Otherwise, why do business with them?
Right.
Right.
Well, that's the thing. Like you had just said, they can reach different areas of the market that you can't.
Absolutely. Well,
so
assuming they're a Big Five, right? You know what I mean?
Assuming they're Big Five, and assuming that they believe in your story enough to go that far, because they sometimes will take on, like the mid-list authors. They expect them to sell a little bit. They're not going to go crazy with the marketing budget on them, but they'll still take them. They'll still print them and put them in bookstores.
Yeah.
But the ones that get the the media blitz, the ones that are sent around to bookstores to do reading and stuff like that, those really get the extra reach.
Oh, absolutely. And but again, and this is where this is your advantage. You're in a situation where you can ask for a little bit more because of your backlog, right? But that's
right. I can show a history of longevity, of being able to work within the system, of building a fan base.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's. I mean, this is why it's important. Like, yeah, which is like for me, I'm at this point, I can be honest with myself. I'm a niche author. I mean, who writes epic poetry, for crying out loud, right? But I do, right? And the thing about me is, right, I know who I am. So as I keep expanding and doing these different unique takes in books and things like that, a guy like me may never get into the mainstream. Then again, maybe because I'm so different, I cannot help but draw attention. Right? So I mean, either way, right? There's a either way. I mean, there's also about knowing who you are as a creative type, right? One of my next books next year is going to be me attempting to try to do something in the vein of Dr. Seuss. It's probably going to fail miserably, but if any, I'm going to give it a college try, as they say. So, well, hey, listen. I have a story that's literally a comic book that cannot be lettered traditionally like a comic book. So I'm thinking, well, how do I tell the story? And I'm thinking, I could actually Dr. Seuss up this story. Like, do it like something like he would do. And I'm like, it would actually work. Oh my god, this actually worked.
Fedora.
But I'm just saying, this is who I am as a creator. I'm one of those guys with these, I haven't done a mainstream market style book yet. And this is what, the Cloud Diver is just kind of my first step into trying something that's even remotely close. But again, I have unicorns talking out of my ass. I have zombie mobsters, and I have dragons, and lots of other crazy. This is like a kitchen sink novel. I throw everything I can in this thing.
I love that. Well, you make a good point though too about knowing who you are as a writer and what you expect from the marketplace.
Yeah. Well, I'm not, like I said, at this point in time, nothing I've done would attract a traditional publisher. It's not because it's good or bad, but because it's not mainstream. Now, the Cloud Diver is going to be a step closer to mainstream, right? For sure. But it's still not going to be quite there. You know what I mean? It's closer, but it's not quite there. When I feel I'm doing something that what I feel is a lot more of a mainstream style book, and like I said, I have a couple of those ideas in my head, Then yeah, I do have an agent that literally will take anything I throw at them. They love my ideas. So I mean, it's definitely something where that down the road I'm definitely going to make a real serious attempt at. But I'm still, I think, at that point where I'm still building who I am to an audience. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And if you already have an agent in your pocket, you're one step closer when you are ready to, dip your toes into that market as well.
Yeah. So I'm not going to say in my pocket, but they're interested, and that's all. That's
more than a lot of people have.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things where I don't take that lightly. I don't take that lightly at all, and I just but when I do present something to them, I want it to be something that I think they can actually sell. I don't think they can. I don't think they can sell The Watcher. Not that I don't think The Watcher is a great book, but it's not meant to be a mainstream style book, right? The Cloud Diver, they might be able to sell it, but I don't know, right? And also, it's a series I can do in the meantime while they're trying to sell something that's, bigger and better, because I have tons of spin-off ideas already for this universe. And so some big, some small, and some of them are like pipe dreams. So I'm like, why not? Life's too short. So,
well, like I said, you've already got a leg up. So that's the scary part for me now that I'm working on a completely new series that I know I'm going to aim first at traditional. Is I got to go back into the query minefield again. I've got to try and attract an agent.
I think but it might be easier for you because, again, you're an established quantity, right? People know what you can do just simply looking at your backlog, right? And
it's still just like everybody else. It's got to go in through the slush pile.
Well, maybe not. You see, here no. This is the thing about you, right? People have read your stuff and they think, well, I like this and I don't like this and I like this. I like this. Chances are, all right, people in the industry have read your stuff. So it's just finding those people. That's going to be your challenge, right? Because we all, like I said, I think the biggest shock for me is as I don't consider myself a big creative type yet. Biggest shock to me is I actually have fans. I do, and it's stunning, right? And it's like, wait, what?
Feeling though too.
Yeah, I have fans. Cool. Now again, some people know me as a podcaster. Some people know me as a writer. But either way, I mean, there are people that know who I am, and it's like that's scary, right? I mean, a little bit for me. It's like, wow, people, you know who I am, and you listen to me rant about random shit all the time. You poor unlucky bastards, or something to that. Always don't take yourself, and never take yourself seriously. But I mean, but the point is, you've been doing this a long time. You have fans. You have people that are into your work. Heck, even if you just asked your editor, right? I bet you she would know someone that would like this, right? And that's how I would, in your situation, that's how I'd get started. You're not at the bottom. You're not necessarily in the traditional field, but you've done stuff. And that does count. It really does, because when your challenge is to get their attention. Hey,
right.
I'm Katie Salidas. I am awesome and made of cheese. Maybe not made of cheese, but you are awesome. And
look at me.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing, right? That's the challenge. That's the challenge every person that does a creative endeavor has to do. You have to figure out how to get people's attention. It's just for a minute. It's all you need, because you are good enough that once people can see what you can do, you will find interest somewhere. And
I hope so. It's all about a marketable product. One, we just talked about, is the book really traditional worthy, or is it better in the indie market? So hopefully, what I'm working on now will be very appealing to the traditional marketplace.
Are you doing an epic fantasy quest about the object of desire that can only be held by worthy people, and then worthy person accidentally gets it and goes on wild goose chase to save world? No? Yes?
No.
Okay, so you're not doing you're not doing Percival. That's cool.
Should I give you my pitch?
Sure. You want to give me your pitch? Give me your pitch. It just went. It went silent over
The
there.
rough pitch for the one I'm going to aim at traditional.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So lawful good and magic neutral are terms for the D&D table.
Yes.
But when her mother's inner light is stolen, they become Sage's true identity.
That's interesting. I want to know more. Honestly,
It's a little bit of Shadowhunters meets Law and Order.
Okay, that's cool. You want to hear my pitch for the Cloud Diver?
All right, let's do it.
Indiana Jones meets the Matrix.
Ooh.
Yes.
I like it. I always like that this meets that. It really, strikes with you.
It's easy because it's a frame of context. Now I can do it another way too. It's about one man decided. It's about one man that follows this girl with a gunblade and gets a virus that everybody wants. And he has to.
I like that virus everybody wants.
That's right. Because
Nice.
and in trying to save his life, he discovered what his own happiness is all about.
Aww.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Get that heartwarming finish. I like that.
Isn't it good? Yeah. It's not bad, right? So but there are, again. It's about. I'm doing my first ever panel at When Words Collide in August, and I'm doing log lines because I'm good at pitching. And one of the things I've learned, and this actually helps with my writing too. What am I trying to say? Like when I figured that out about my story, no matter what else I throw in there, right? And I can throw a lot of things in there, as you are well aware of, right? The thing about it is, once I know that, structuring the story is easier, and pitching it to people is also a lot easier. I find that that's the real secret to it. You figure out what you're trying to say.
Yeah, and a lot of people struggle with that log line. I mean, we've talked on Spilling Ink before, especially with Jason, about coming up with just that one sentence elevator pitch, and everybody struggles with it.
Oh yeah, I just do it on the fly because again, I was in a situation where I had to, and I've learned how to pick up on that skill. It doesn't mean I get it right every time the first time I say it either, but I again, this is how I do it. I really quickly try to figure out what am I trying to say. Like that's really, and even when I do like when I'm writing a story, that's my focus. Like, what am I trying to say, right? And when I structure a character, it's like, who are they, right? And I keep it really simple that way. But it's amazing how you have structure without ever actually realizing it. So.
It's the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid.
That's right. It works. It really does. It really, really does. I work with at my day job. I do a job where reading is required, and most of the people I work with don't read. It's a really KISS method becomes something you almost worship, and it's not even funny.
No, I hear we recently, a group of us put out an anthology together. And, when you put a bunch of people together, and we all have great ideas, and we're all good writers in our own right, but you put us all in a room together, and none of us can agree on anything. And you've got the different person clashing. So you've got the OCD person versus the overachiever, and we're all trying to come up with the ideas for how we're going to pitch the book and everything, and I'm just sitting over here in the corner going, KISS people, KISS people.
Well, yeah.
Stop complicating things.
Yeah, no, listen, try to get 4 people in a room to agree on dinner.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, but it's a really good, valuable lesson. Just 4 people. It's almost impossible, right? 2 people, that's hard. But 4?
Yeah, it's back to the whole relationship thing that drives everyone crazy. What do you want for dinner? I don't know. What do you want for dinner? Oh my God, just kill me now.
Yeah. But it's real life, like, because I don't I hung out with my sister for lunch. She said, "What do you want?" I don't care. I mean, I legit don't care at that moment in time. But all right, you're gonna pin me down. This burger feels nice. There you go. Right.
I have the opposite with my husband. He will go, "What do you want for dinner?" And I will say, just off the top of my head, McDonald's. I give him a direct, "This is what I want," and he goes, "Oh, I don't want that." You asked.
Yeah, I know, but to be fair, I think I take his side on that one because it's McDonald's.
Well, it's not always McDonald's.
Yeah, okay.
First thing off the top of my head, I will give him a direct answer of what I want, and he almost always says no to it.
Oh, okay, that's an interesting thing. So you know what you do? You play reverse psychology. Just what don't you want, and then you give that one first.
There you go.
Yeah, see, What don't you want from me? It's like Chinese. Now, of course, she says it's a good idea. Don't beat me, okay? Just don't beat me if you. Because you're a tough woman, and you're a mom, so you're naturally a tough woman, and I think you'd beat me down pretty hard. So I'm brittle and fragile and stuff. So.
Well, we'll have to have a showdown. You're going to come down to next year's Phoenix.
That's the plan. That is the plan. I'm going to be in the area. My goal is get the teeth fixed, save up money, go to Phoenix, but I also want to do. There's a writing convention in February out of Utah. I'd like to do that one too. I've heard interesting things about it, and I want to go see it. Compare it to the one we do up here, and just again, I have dual citizenship. I might as well take advantage of it. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. So I still, like I said, I changed some things around because it's just like I just came to the magical conclusion that I need. The sinking feeling of if I don't take the time to take care of myself now, even though I have a zillion things on my head that I want to do, I'm never going to do it. And I need to do it. And that's basically what it's come down to with me. So this is going to be the priority this year. I'm still going to do like some kind of soft launch for both of them, like a soft launch. And then April next year, I do a hard launch for both of them and Dr. Seuss, whatever that Dr. Seuss project is called. Actually, I can tell you what it's called. It's called the Stick Figure Revolution. The story, the pitch is this. I always joke that I draw stick figures so bad they'd revolt. And that's the story.
And that's just what they did, huh?
That's what they did, yeah.
I love it.
I know. It's going to be a graphic novel kind of. It's going to be. I'm going to have to try to talk him into doing this another one just to finish the story because it's only half the story. But it's awesome. Like it is. Like I literally got an email at the end of May, and he sends me all these painted. He painted all this stuff. It's incredible what he did. It was like, this is wonderful. Now what do I do with this? I wrote this script 2 years ago. What the hell do I do? And it can't be lettered the same way now. Oh crap, it doesn't work. What am I going to do? Then I think to myself, oh, I know what I can do. And that's then the Dr. Seuss thing hit. Because I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to try a Seuss thing. This is actually perfect. And if it fails, it's totally on me.
Interesting. I like it.
Yeah. Like I said, I have tons of ideas in my head, and just like one at a time, they're just all going to come up. So, yeah. But anyway, about yours is going to come up before mine does. So good luck, kick ass, and I hope you sell a zillion copies so you can buy me dinner.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Fingers, toes, and eyes. But when I cross my eyes, it makes it hard to write.
It's true, but sometimes, but you know what? It's easy to sleep.
Sleep? What is that?
So that thing you occasionally do at between 5 in the morning and 6. You just yeah.
I'm not even joking either.
I know.
I'm on the edits right now, so my editor will send back sections at a time, and then I need to correct what she tells me to correct. And in some areas, this one in particular had a lot of rewrites she wanted me to do. So I was up until 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I went to sleep. I blinked. And next thing you know, I've got 2 little munchkins in my face going, Mommy, I'm hungry. It's breakfast time.
And you're like, could you let me sleep another hour? I remember blinking. That's it. And then you're here. I blinked and you're here. What happened?
I swear to God, I blinked. It wasn't even light out.
Yeah. It's okay. But again, this goes back to something we talked about earlier. No one has time anymore. So, I think for the points of the podcast, I think we have a good interview. So, if people want to find you and what's coming up, fire away.
Well, if people want to find me, I live on Facebook. Like 100%. I'm there almost all the time. I'm on it on my phone. It's a really bad habit to be in. But they can find me at facebook.com/Katie Salidas, KATIESALS. Or if you want to go directly to my website, it's katiesalidas.com. I make it super simple.
Nice. All right. And that. It was really cool to have a little chat with Katie. Check out her newest book. It's out, I think, right now. It's called Alpha, if I'm not mistaken. I'm very fried right now, so I may correct this tomorrow when I come to. But, yeah, like I said, Katie was always a pleasure, and she's been a good beacon of advice, which I think is awesome. And that is pretty much this episode of Just Joshing. So, If you want to support the podcast, you can do a couple things. You can subscribe to it first and foremost by either going to iTunes and just click the subscribe button, or at Podomac, you can just join my subscribing list. That would be really cool. Second thing you can do is you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, Joshua Penteloresco. There are past episodes of Just Joshing on there, about 40 of them. More are coming soon. Next week is actually somewhat saner than this week, so I'm hoping to at least have a couple more episodes up next week. You can buy my books, The Watcher, Storm Dancer, and very soon you can get The Wandering God through MirrorWorldBooks.com or through Amazon or anywhere else where books can be sold electronically or physically. Beyond that, you could also subscribe to my newsletter, tinyletter.com/jpentelleresco, JPANTALLERESCO. Beyond that, guys, I hope you're well. I hope you stay inspired. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, or don't get caught, or at the very least have a good alibi. All right. See you next time.
Josh.